You always talk about moving on in next games. Has it been a little bit harder? Have you today with the guys being able to move on from this weekend, or have you been able to get them to refocus?
No, it's not been any harder. We had a good meeting today. Talked about the game just to file it away. Day off tomorrow. We'll be back in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to prepare for the game Saturday. But we definitely looked at some things on film. Managing the game better in the second half, set pieces. But no, these guys will move on just like they have all year, and some of our best performances have come after bitter defeats, bitter disappointments.
Have you named a new captain?
No, I won't name a new captain. You don't replace your captain. Someone will wear the band, obviously, in his absence. Maybe it's the same guy, maybe it's a couple different guys. But we'll have a captain for every game. But we won't replace our captain.
Have you dealt with, in your previous coaching career, an injury like this, and as far as like looking back on something to kind of know how to manage it?
Yeah, I've dealt with injuries. It's a part of the business. Anything when you're in a business where you have players who are doing physical things, injuries happen, and so I've dealt with it before. I don't think I've dealt with a broken leg before, but a lot of knee injuries, a lot of ankles, a lot of head injuries, but never a broken leg, no. So, but in terms of recovery and stuff, it's similar to an ACL. It's about a 6-month deal. So you use it, I think, to galvanize your team. It's just another thing we got to deal with, and we've dealt with a lot this year. Some of those things we brought on ourselves by not getting the job done. But like I said after the game, the one thing that's been clear all season is that we don't hang our heads, we don't dwell, we move on, pick ourselves back up, and we get stronger, we get better. And right, the old saying, right? The greatest glory is not in never falling, but rising every time you fall. So I think that's been pretty fitting this year.
When you look at, in the past, you've usually used Ben to replace Will. And if you can just talk about his qualities. I know he's not Will, but what can he bring, or what does he bring to the table for you on the field?
Well, the good thing about Ben is he's actually played quite a few games over the course of his time here. And he just played a game with Chara. And I thought actually had a good game, Colorado and this game. So I think you know what you get with Ben. He's one of the most fit guys on our team in terms of his range and ability to get around the field. He's up there with the best on this team. He covers a lot of ground, and you don't replace Will, but you hope to fill in someone that's similar. And Ben is a similar player in how he plays and what he brings to the table. He's a two-way guy, and he's looked pretty comfortable there with Chara, and Chara's looked comfortable with him. So that's the way we'll go at this point. But we do have other guys as well, with Jack Jewsbury and Danny O'Rourke also. So, who knows in the next 4 games what happens in there. But we'll go with Ben. He was a guy that we plugged in Colorado and plugged in last game. And, I think he's done a nice job.
You were talking, if I remember correctly, you were talking about how well Will and Chara had developed the chemistry in these recent games.
Yeah.
How important is that? And can they, and Ben and Diego, can they develop that in these last 4 games?
Yeah, I think you don't necessarily need a lot of games for guys to develop chemistry. We're kind of doing that with Kyle and Ridgewell as well. So you got to develop chemistry quickly sometimes. So in this case, I think it's come together already. If you look at the Colorado game and you look at last game, thought those 2 guys actually played pretty well together. And in some ways with Chara and Ben, I think you can define their roles a little bit as well. So if we need Ben to sit, he can do that. That allows Chara to be a little bit higher, a little more free. You look at the first goal we scored, he's pretty good when he's pressing higher and getting forward. Sometimes with Will, he takes a little bit more of a deeper role because Will tends to play a little bit higher. So I think in some ways it might actually bring a little bit more out of Chara, and we need more because obviously Will's gone. So when you lose a player like Will, you need everybody to step up and bring a little bit more. And perhaps you saw in that second half, once the reality set in that our captain's gone, and once the game turned, we didn't have that captain there to manage the situation. But we have a lot of leaders on this team, and so I think what you'll see guys step up in his absence with their play and with their leadership.
Is that one of the big intangibles that you'll be missing? Is that Will's that fire and desire and willing to, just bring the team along in situations